Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are well. Long time no talk to. I feel like I haven't made a video like this in quite some time, and it's been probably a month and a half where I have been really just there's been intensity. I live in Central Florida, and we've been dealing with a recent spike, the Delta variant spike, which has put a lot of pressure on a lot of people in different ways. I work in healthcare administration. And specifically pediatrics, and happy to say and glad to say that this variant still has and has not affected the pediatric population. It has more just because there's a lot more of it going on and going around. But the kiddos seem to be very resilient still, and even to this variant. But I work in healthcare administration, so there's been a lot of increased pressure and measures put on organizations to do a lot of different things. A lot which, in my opinion, may or may not be unnecessary, but they've caused a lot of stress in people's lives, employees, caregivers, and things of that nature. So I've been kind of working through that, and I'm also coaching full-time my son's little peewee tackle football team, which has been an absolute pleasure to do. So I've been kind of really busy on those fronts, but I really haven't been inspired to share lately in the last month and a half, but that's how I usually kind of make my videos. Something will inspire me, and I'll come out and I'll just speak to what I've been thinking or what I'm reading. And thank God I've had this kind of dropped in my lap, and I've read it before and I've gone through it before, but I think it's especially important today, and that is Aleksandr Solzhenitsyn's article or his essay, "Live Not by Lies," which he produced and wrote in 1974 when he was, I believe he was in jail when he was arrested. So if you guys don't know, Aleksandr Solzhenitsyn was a Russian dissident. He was actually, he was born in 1918, died in 2008. He won the Nobel Prize in 1974. He was a novelist, a philosopher, a historian, a political prisoner, an Orthodox Christian, and he's kind of the most famous Soviet dissident. And he wrote this as a sort of playbook on how to live and work and thrive and overcome through a period where lies seem to be the central category of lies and potential violence, and violence seem to be the categories that are released and let up upon the population. Kind of how do you work through times like these? And I think he's very prescient and relevant to what's happening right now, really globally. And Rod Dreher has a book that he wrote, kind of inspired by Solzhenitsyn, entitled "Live Not by Lies: A Manual for Christian Dissidents," which I've gotten through about half of it. I think I've made a video on it. But this time I just wanted to get in here and read from this article from Solzhenitsyn entitled "Live Not by Lies." And I don't really ask, almost rarely, for you guys to share anything that I write or that I read or produce here on this channel, but if this resonates with you and you think it can help people, please feel free to share it as much as you can with people. I think it's important, and I think Solzhenitsyn is one of the heroes that we need to hearken to, and we need to rely on as we navigate the troubling waters ahead. And I would say that I know there's a lot of anxiety in people, and there's a lot of pressure, but I would say, it's time to be a leader. If it's time to make decisions, it's time to build the ark and develop networks of like-minded, like-hearted people, share information, share strategies to kind of navigate these chaotic waters. And that's what I'm going to and have been doing, even though I've been feeling the pressure a lot more lately. Especially at nighttime, at 3 a.m. I kind of wake up in the morning and remember the kind of Orthodox way, which is not to flinch in the face of kind of the banality of evil that is upon us here. So I'll get in it here. It's not that long, maybe about 10 minutes. And let me know what you guys think here. So "Live Not by Lies." So this is from, this intro here is by Edward Erickson Jr. and Daniel J. Mahoney from the Solzhenitsyn Reader, right? So they say, on the day Solzhenitsyn was arrested, February 12, 1974, he released the text of "Live Not by Lies." The next day he was exiled to the West, where he received a hero's welcome. This moment marks the peak of his fame. Solzhenitsyn equates lies with ideology, the illusion that human nature and society can be reshaped to predetermined specifications. And his last word before leaving his homeland urges Soviet citizens as individuals to refrain from cooperating with the regime's lies. Even the most timid can take this least demanding step towards spiritual independence. If many march together on this path of passive resistance, the whole inhuman system will totter and collapse. And we'll go right into Solzhenitsyn's essay here. So he's going to introduce a term here, samizdat. So samizdat was a clandestine copying and distribution of literature banned by the Soviet state. And they also had clandestine meetings talking about how to navigate through these challenging times. And this is kind of starting out while he's having and referencing conversations he's had at the samizdat. So he starts, there was a time when we dared not rustle a whisper. But now we write and read samizdat, and congregating in the smoking rooms of research institutions, heartily complain to each other of all they are muddling up, of all they are dragging us into. There's that unnecessary bravado around our ventures into space against the backdrop of ruin and poverty at home, and the buttressing of distant savage regimes, and the kindling of civil wars, and the ill-thought-out cultivation of Mao Zedong, at our expense to boot. And the end will be the ones sent out against him, and will have to go. What other options will there be? And they put whomever they want on trial, and brand the healthy as mentally ill. And it is always they, while we are helpless. We are approaching the brink. Already a universal spiritual demise is upon us. A physical one is about to flare up and engulf us and our children, while we continue to smile sheepishly and babble. But what can we do to stop it? We haven't the strength. We have so hopelessly ceded our humanity that for the modest handouts of today, we are ready to surrender up all principles, our soul, all the labors of our ancestors, all the prospects of our descendants, anything to avoid disrupting our meager existence. We have lost our strength, our pride, our passion. We do not even fear a common nuclear death, do not fear a third world war, perhaps we'll hide away in some crevice, but fear only to take a civic stance. We hope only not to stray from the herd, not to set out on our own and risk suddenly having to make do without white bread and hot water heater, a Moscow residency permit. We have internalized well the lessons drummed into us by the state. We are forever content and comfortable with its premise. We cannot escape the environment, the social conditions. They shape us. Being determines consciousness. What have we to do with this? We can do nothing. But we can do everything. Even if we comfort and lie to ourselves, that is not so. It is not they who are guilty of everything, but we ourselves, only we. Some will counter, but really, there's nothing to be done. Our mouths are gagged. No one listens to us. No one asks us, but we ourselves, only we. How can we make them listen to us? To make them reconsider is impossible. The natural thing would be simply not to re-elect them, but there are no re-elections in our country. In the West, they have strikes, protests, marches, but we are too coward, too scared. How does one just give up one's job, just go out to the street? All the other fateful means resorted to over the last century of Russia's bitter history are even less fitting for us today. True, let's not fall back on them. Today, when all the axes have hewn what they hacked, when all that was sown was born fruit, We can see how lost, how drugged were those conceited youths who sought, through terror, bloody uprising, and civil war, to make the country just and content. No thank you, fathers of enlightenment. We know that the vileness of the means begets the vileness of the results. Let our hands be clean. So has the circle closed? So is there indeed no way out? So the only thing left to do is wait inertly? What if something just happens by itself? But it will never come unstuck by itself. If we all, every day, continue to acknowledge, glorify, and strengthen it, if we do not, at the least, recoil from the most vulnerable point, from lies. When violence bursts onto the peaceful human condition, its face is flush with self-assurance. It displays on its banner and proclaims, "I am violence. Make way. Step aside. I will crush you." But violence ages swiftly. A few years pass, and it is no longer sure of itself. To prop itself up, to appear decent, it will without fail call forth its ally, lies. For violence has nothing to cover itself with but lies, and lies can only persist through violence. And it is not every day and not on every shoulder that violence brings down its heavy hand. It demands of us only a submission to lies, a daily participation in deceit, and this suffices as our fealty. And therein we find, neglected by us, the simplest, most accessible key to our liberation, a personal non-participation in lies. Even if all is covered by lies, even if all is under their rule, let us resist in the smallest way. Let their rule hold not through me. And this is the way to break out of the imaginary encirclement of our inertness. The easiest way for us and the most devastating for the lies. For when people renounce lies, lies simply ceased to exist. Like parasites, they can only survive when attached to a person. We are not called upon to step out onto the square and shout out the truth, to say out loud what we think. This is scary. We are not ready. But let us at least refuse to say what we do not think. This is the way, then, the easiest and most accessible for us, given our deep-seated organic cowardice. Much easier than it's scary even to utter the words, civil disobedience a la Gandhi. Our way must be never knowingly support lies. Having understood where the lies begin, and many see this line differently, step back from the gangrenous edge. Let us not glue back the flaking scales of the ideology, not gather back its crumbling bones, nor patch together its decomposing garb, and we will be amazed how swiftly and helplessly the lies will fall away. And that which is destined to be naked will be exposed as such to the world. And thus overcoming our temerity, let each man choose. Will he remain a witting servant of the lies? Needless to say, not due to natural predisposition, but in order to provide a living for the family, to rear the children in the spirit of lies? Or has the time come for him to stand straight as an honest man, worthy of the respect of his children and contemporaries? And from that day onward he will not write, sign, nor publish in any way a single line distorting, so far as he can see, the truth. Will not utter such a line in private or in public conversation, nor read it from a crib sheet, nor speak it in the role of educator, canvasser, teacher, actor. Will not in painting, sculpture, photograph, technology, or music depict, support, or broadcast a single false thought, a single distortion of the truth as he discerns it. Will not cite in writing or in speech a single guiding quote for gratification, insurance for his success at work, unless he fully shares the cited thought and believes that it fits the context precisely. Will not be forced to forced to a demonstration or a rally if it runs counter to his desire and his will, will not take up and raise a banner or slogan in which he does not fully believe, will not raise a hand and vote for a proposal which he does not succinctly support, will not vote openly or in secret ballot for a candidate which he deems dubious or unworthy, will not be impelled to a meeting where a forced and distorted discussion is expected to take place, will at once walk out from a session, meeting, lecture, play, or film as soon as he hears the speaker utter a lie, ideological drivel, or shameless propaganda, will not subscribe to nor buy in retail a newspaper or journal that distorts or hides the underlying facts. This is by no means an exhaustive list of the possible and necessary ways of evading lies, but he who begins to cleanse himself will, with the cleansed eye, easily discern yet other opportunities. At first it will not be fair. Someone will have to temporarily lose his job. For the young who seek to live by truth, this will at first seem severely complicate life. For their tests and quizzes, too, are stuffed with lies, and so choices will have to be made. But there is no loophole left for anyone who seeks to be honest. Not even for a day, not even in the safest technical occupations, can he avoid even a single one of the listed choices to be made in favor of either truth or lies, in favor of spiritual independence or spiritual servility. And as for him who lacks the courage to defend even his own soul, let him not brag of his progressive views, boast of his status as an academician or a recognized artist, a distinguished citizen or general. Let him say to himself plainly, I am cattle. I am a coward. I seek only warmth and to eat my fill. For us who have grown, stead over time, even this most moderate path of resistance will not be easy to set out upon. But how much easier is it than self-immolation or even a hunger strike? Flames will not engulf your body, your eyes will not pop out from the heat, and your family will always have at least a piece of black bread to wash down with a glass of clear water. Betrayed and deceived by us, did not a great European people, the Czechoslovaks, show us how one can stand down the tanks with bared chest alone, as long as inside it beats a worthy heart. It will not be an easy path. Perhaps it is the easiest among those that lie before us. Not an easy choice for the body, but the only one for the soul. Not an easy path, but then we already have among us people, dozens even, who have for years abided by all these rules, who live by the truth. And so, we need not be the first to set out on this path. Ours is but to join. The more of us set out together, the thicker our ranks, the easier and shorter will this path be for us all. If we become thousands, they will not cope. They will be unable to touch us. If we will grow to tens of thousands, we will not recognize our country. But if we shrink away, then let us cease complaining that someone does not let us draw breath. We do it to ourselves. Let us then cower and hunker down while our comrades, the biologists, bring closer the day when our thoughts can be read and our genes altered. And is from this also we shrink away? Then we are worthless, hopeless, and it is of us that Pushkin asks with scorn. Why offer herds their liberation, their heritage each generation, the yoke with jingles and the whip? That is the end of that essay. Go check it out online if you want to read it, and then please feel free to share. Love to hear what you guys think, and I will be with you guys soon. Thank you, and God bless.